Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji, thank you. Radhe Radhe Padmini ji and Gayatri ji, thank you for the wonderful session and the beautiful Bhakti Shatak bhajan that you played towards the end. Loved it. So, Good morning, good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you're having a great start to your day or had a wonderful day. We will continue on our journey. Today, we are going to pick up a shlok a little further ahead. Technically, we are on 4.25. However, we'll pick up 4.34 today because we'll be celebrating Guru Purnima next week. So I thought it's an appropriate occasion to talk about Guru Tattva. Okay, set up some foundation for it and then really get into the depth of it next week more. So hope you are geared up for that. We're going to discuss it. We'll take scriptural references and we'll try to till the ground, set the base for it to discuss this topic. So let me share my screen and we will get started with today's topic. Then share the screen. Give me a sec. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So we will get started by invoking the blessings of Guru. Guru Tattva is what we are going to discuss today, and the original Jagat Guru, that is Lord Krishna himself, who millions of years ago imparted this knowledge to Sun God, and then 5,000 years back to Arjun, and now we are benefiting from it. So let's get started by paying our obeisance and invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. All right. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening once again to all of you. All right. So let's get started. I picked up the Shloka today. Before I get into Shloka, these are some of the things we will be targeting today. Guru Tattva. Right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we'll tackle some questions today. Why do we need a Guru? That's a very fundamental question. Why do we need a Guru? It's an important thing. Who's a true Guru? How do we find a Guru? And what is Guru Mantra and some of the other things that we typically talk about, right? Whenever we talk about Guru. Not everything can be covered today. So we'll pick up some stuff. Like I said, we'll do some tilling of the ground today. And then we will get into really the depth of this topic and look at it holistically from a 360-degree point of view, right? And pretty much try to cover as best as we can to get the required understanding from a fundamental standpoint about the Guru itself. Because this term is being adopted by Oxford Dictionary as well, right? Guru. There are marketing gurus, and then there are cloud gurus, and then some people say Guru Hoja Shuru, right? So there are a lot of connotations to Guru these days, but we'll really look at it from a scriptural standpoint. What is a Guru? It's a pretty loaded term, and it cannot be trivialized because it is a pretty significant concept on the path of spirituality. That is what we are going to talk about today. So let's get started with the shloka that is going to set the tone for today's discussion. Yes, Anita ji, you got a question to begin with? Okay, you have raised the hand.
Yes,
Radhe Radhe, I raised my hand first so that I want to recite it first. That's why.
There's something called being proactive and there's something called being extreme.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I was about to tell you you are one day early, but let's get started.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll recite it. It's one of my, shlokas, which initial shlokas that I picked up because it's a very important concept. This is one of those decisions in your life which will set the tone for your spiritual journey, as well as set the tone across multiple lifetimes. Okay, that is how important this concept is. So we are going to try to do justice to it. I mean, obviously we can't do it. It's such a deep concept, but as best as we can, so that at least we have some of the cobwebs removed around this concept, especially some of the stereotypes that we have in our mind. So I'll recite it and then we'll get started. You're welcome to follow along. Tadvidhi pranipatena परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनः तत्त्वदर्शिनः. All right. So Anita ji, you get the right of first refusal today. Please go ahead.
Yes, Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe. Thank you. तद्विदधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षयन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita ji. All right.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Slow. Tadvidhi pranipatena परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Thank you, Sam. You were 10 times slower than yesterday. So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on.
Yes, Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Ramya ji. Very nice. Let's move on. Quite a few hands. I think we can cover all.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Dinesh ji.
तद्विज्यति प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनः तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Very nice. Thank you, Dinesh ji. Let's move on.
Yes, Venkat ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, ma'am. Tadvidhi pranipatena परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Thank you. Very nice, Venkat ji.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनः तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Very nice. Radhe Radhe.
Surinder ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu.
Radhe Radhe.
Tadvidhi pranipatena परिप्रक्षेणान सेवया उपदेशक्षन्ति ते जानन् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Surendra ji. Okay, we can quickly
Manish ji.
remaining hands. Yeah.
Go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Manish ji.
Radhe Radhe. तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेशन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Thank you. Very nice.
Radhe, thank you.
Right. Pranipaten, right? That's a word you can remember when you wish some elder, you can say pranipat, right? Like they did in New Mahabharat. It's a wonderful word. We'll go into the depth of this as well as we go along. Yes, let's move on quickly.
Yes, Riya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Very nice, Riya ji.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe. Okay, we are down to our last.
Rahul ji,
Fine.
yeah, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnen sevaya उपदेक्ष्यन्ति te jnanam jnaninastu tattva darshana. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much, Rahul.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Ashutosh ji. Last 4 hands.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Wonderful. Last 3 now. Thank you, Ashutosh ji.
Yes, Akshita ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tad vidutti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te gnanam jnaninasta stava darshanaha.
Very nice. Thank you, Akshita ji. Last
Rupa ji,
hands
yeah,
now.
Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashneena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha.
Very nice. Thank you. Last but not the least, Payal ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Payal ji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe. Are you able to?
Yes, we are able to.
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Thank
Radhe
you, Payal.
Radhe.
It was interesting. You were showing on mute.
Yes, that's what.
Maybe your screen hung, I guess. All right. So let's get started. So the shloka, the short translation for this goes like, learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, right? That is what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Then he says, inquire from him with reverence and render service unto him. Such an enlightened saint can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Okay, that is what Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna. All right. So, like I said, today we are going to tackle why do we need a guru? It is a very fundamental question. Who is a true guru? How do we find a guru? And what is guru mantra? And some other aspects, types of gurus. We'll go really deep into this topic. Okay. Today we are going to do the tilling of the ground as best as we can. Now, there is a school of, not school of thought, but I mean, at least I'm sure you would have come across a lot of people as well who say, I am my own guru. And why do we need a guru, a middleman, right? A broker. I'll directly go to the party, which is God himself. So we will see it in perspective, how valid that argument is. Okay. So let's start. We'll get to the guru part of it. Let's start with, why do I need a guru? Okay. Let's start with the fundamental part of it. Why do I need a mentor to begin with? I would say it's a mentor. Okay. As we will see. Now, the good mentors, they can save us from countless mistakes and years of fumbling in the dark. Now you will say, no, I don't believe it. Okay, so we'll look at some of the stuff. Okay, we'll start with a quotation from Swamiji on this. He says that having a good mentor in any field helps us set goals, shorten the learning curve, receive encouragement, stay focused, avoid pitfalls, and much more. So you can work hard or you can work smart. Both options are there. Okay. Work hard. Is it good enough on this path? Is also we will check. Let's look at Sir Isaac Newton. Okay. He said that if I had been able to see further in others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. So even in science, people have mentors, right? Big scientists, they built on top of what was already proven, right? Some of the hypotheses that were already supported. So this is a direct statement from Sir Isaac Newton. Now let's look at it from a, let's lend more credence to this. You may say, no, we can do without a mentor. Okay, this is all hyperbole or some talk. So let's look at it from a corporate standpoint. Okay, Gartner, what does Gartner say? It very clearly says in its report that employees who receive mentoring were promoted 5 times more often than who did not have mentors. That happens in corporate setup as well. So when you join a company, typically you are assigned a mentor. Center for Workplace Leadership, it states that 71% of Fortune 500 companies, they invest in mentoring programs because they feel it is worthwhile. This is a statistic that has been statistically proven. ASTD, okay, they say 71% of executives, when they say what played a key role in their careers, they are also pointed to mentoring. So every successful person, typically, if you want to climb up the ladder in life, it's an important thing to have a mentor. Even to climb up a corporate ladder, your odds of success, they increase many folds. Finding a good mentor and becoming their mentee, and that it really increases the odds of your success, because you're not reinventing the wheel now, and you learn from their experiences, and they're able to guide you, help you navigate through a lot of stuff. Furthermore, The War of Talent, it's a very wonderful book. 95% of mentees said the experience motivated them to do their absolute best. It's a very motivating thing, right? When you have a mentee, because you can proceed with assurance. And then Harvard Business Review also said that 84% of mentees, they said the mentors helped them avoid costly mistakes we are talking about here, okay, in the material world. So you can only imagine how relevant it would become in the spiritual side of things. All right, let's move further. Now, who is a mentor? What is a mentor? Okay, we understood that the role of a mentor is pretty significant even in the material world. Who is a mentor? How do you define a mentor? So let's look at some of the definitions, and we are not directly going to the definition that we are used to, guru. We'll get to that. So mentor is one. In Greek, the word mentor, it came to mean a wise person, also a trusted advisor, friend, and a teacher. Okay, trusted advisor is a term which is used in corporate circles a lot. Okay, people come in and say, okay, we don't want to be your vendor. We want to be your trusted advisor now. Okay, so this is it's a term which is kind of picked up as a branding. In Tibet, Lama is a kind of compassionate teacher, which for Dhamma is nothing but dharma in Buddhism, to the path of enlightenment. And Dalai Lama, as we know, his stature is the highest ranking teacher in Tibetan Buddhism as well. Furthermore, if we look at some other, French use the word tutor, right? Who's a teacher, trainer, and well-wisher. Japanese sensei, it really means the one who came before. Italians use maestro. So basically, there is a tradition in pretty much all the cultures to have a mentor. English use the word guide, who knows the ways and who shows the ways around it. And then in America, this word is picking up now, coach. Coach used to be something which would use to pull the horses in the previous times, before we had cars and buses. And now the coach is used as a teacher and a trainer who takes us forward in life. There are life coaches and whatnot. Now let's move. Who is a mentor? Okay, let's get into that. Now in India, thousands of years ago, this word guru is used for a person of great knowledge, wisdom, authority who guides others. Now Advaya Taraka Upanishad states that this verse says the syllable gu means darkness, okay? And the syllable ru means to dispel it. Hence, one who is able to dispel our darkness and brings us into the light of knowledge is the guru. Dispelling darkness and brings us the light, right? We say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. Explained you, Maharaj, so beautifully explained. One who provides the knowledge, like Brahma, one who maintains it, like Vishnu, and one who dispels the ignorance, like Shiv. That is why we say Guru is the one who takes care of all the three aspects of knowledge. So essentially helps us remove ignorance. Now in Sanskrit, this word, let's look at it further. Guru also connotates basically one who is heavy. We know that in Hindi, Gurutva Karshan, gravitation, Guru, that heavy. That's where, in Sanskrit, that That is where the word comes from. So one who is heavy or profound due to his depth of knowledge. So you put everything on one side and Guru on one side. Guru's opinions are the most powerful and the profound ones. Worldly opinions, studies, intellectualism, doctorates, they count for nothing in front of Guru. Okay. However, like in Tattva Darshina, that is also mentioned in the Shloka, right? The criteria there is that one who has seen the truth, and we will get deeper into that definition tomorrow, who's a true Guru. Okay. It cannot be a Shabdik Guru. Shabdik means just somebody who knows it theoretically. Shabdik Guru cannot take you very far. Right? In Kabir Das time, there used to be a scholar. He said, I am Shad Darshan expert and I know all the scriptures and this and that. And but then when you talk in your dohas in a very ordinary rustic language, the change, people are able to change, but our words do not have the same impact. Why? So Kabir said that tum kaho kitab ki lekhi, main kahun nij aankhon dekhi. So one of the things which we will expound upon further is that when you come in contact with the true Guru, because they are practically realized, their words will have an impact on you because they have seen the truth. It's not like oral or verbal gymnastics that they are doing just because they have heard it or they have understood it somewhere, okay, and they have read the scriptures as best as they possibly can in one finite lifetime. The Guru Tattvadarshi means they have seen the truth. And the best combination for a Guru is not only Tattvadarshi but also scripturally well versed. He is not pulling out of thin air and saying, I am saying it, so believe it. He can actually tell you through the scriptures that, hey, this scripture, this verse is saying this, and this one is saying this, and that's why it is. So Guru's opinions, a Tattvadarshi Guru's opinions and depth of wisdom outweighs everything else in this world. Then we don't have to go to self-help books. We don't have to go to people's opinion. We don't have to go to Google. We don't have to go to that wise uncle in our family who has answers to everything in our life. Okay. Guru means Guru. It's like chalk and cheese in that point. Okay. So next move on and look at it from a scriptural standpoint as well. What do scriptures have to say about it? Now, need for a spiritual mentor. We spoke about Guru. We spoke about the material mentor. Now, what is the need for a spiritual mentor? Right? The next question comes. When it comes to reading physics or understanding maths, people go to a tutor or to experts. But when it comes to understanding spiritual knowledge, they think they are endowed with an intellect that will help them crack it. Okay. It is nothing but ignorance, being naive, and just being ignorant, I would say, being naive, nothing else. By the way, have you heard about this brand of water called Evian? Evian? Evian, okay. If you have not seen it, there's a brand, maybe you'll see it in one of the marts. Now that I've told you, it was named as Evian. And that was the first time when they were bottling the water to sell it. Somebody came up with this brilliant idea, we can even sell water, which is given free to us by God, and people will buy it. And the first brand that they named it was Evian. If you reverse it, it is naive. And it actually started selling. Now we are so habituated to drinking that water, right? And now air is also getting sold as well. So yeah, if people think they can crack the scriptural code by not going to Guru, they are being naive. That's what it's not possible. Now, why do we need a spiritual mentor is what we are going to look at it a little closely. Scriptures declare Guru as indispensable. Indispensable. It's not like discretionary. All right, you may or you may not go. That's fine. They say indispensable for awakening our best self. That is the place of a Guru in our scriptures. Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, he said that Yavat Gururna Kartavyo Tavan Muktirna Labhyate Tasmat Guruscha Kartavyo Gurum Binana Siddhyati. He very clearly said, unless one takes shelter of a Guru, one cannot attain salvation. Hence, surrender to a Guru without whom you cannot achieve perfection. Furthermore, Sant Kabir, he said, Ram rahe bana भितारे गुरु की पूजा न आसा, रहे कबीरा पाखंड सब, झूठे सदा निरसहा. There are what those who say do not need a guru because God is in the forest or elsewhere. Saint Kabir says that such people are hypocrites and they are always disappointed. Okay, this is the verdict of our saints and scriptures for people who come across and says, I know it all and I am my own guru. That statement doesn't fly too far. Okay. Now, what is Srimad Bhagavatam talking about it? Says Anadi avidya yuktasya purushasya vedanam swato na sambhavad danyas tattva jnanado bhavet. So in this very clearly, Bhagavatam is also saying, in this Lord Krishna is telling to Uddhav, in fact, Uddhav is the topmost Jnani. He's saying that endless lifetimes, the intellect of the souls is covered by ignorance. This cannot go by self-analysis. There is need for receiving knowledge from a guru who is a knower of the absolute truth. That is what Bhagavatam is saying. So it says that this cannot go by self-analysis, and our intellect is covered by ignorance. Okay. Our mind has 4 compartments in it, right? Mind, intellect, chit, and ahankar. So the intellect is the decision-making faculty, which has the analytical abilities. This is right, this is wrong. The job of our mind is to generate thoughts based on our sanskars, based on the environment we are in, based on what we decide to think upon, based on our sanskars and a lot of factors. But intellect can actually override it, and it takes decisions. And chit has an ability to attach, detach itself, and it's again memories from our past lifetimes. And ego is the compartment that gives us a sense of I, that I am the doer, I am doing it. So intellect, which is the decision making faculty, is covered by ignorance, and that is why we need that. And that ignorance cannot be alleviated, removed, remediated by our own self-effort, is what scriptures are telling. We need to go to a guru, and a guru who is seen the truth, and then the process of removing or dispelling that ignorance would begin. Okay, this is what our scriptures are telling us. Let's move on. Let's have something interesting to look upon and have a quick discussion on before we move further. All right, here's a guy. You see, he's calculating something which is kind of interesting. Right, he's cut it 6 by 6 and got to the answer 4. And this lady you're going to love. Okay, you see what happened with her and how she found a solution to her problems. Now, what is common between, what do these two have in common? I love this lady, by the way. I mean, very lateral thinking, creative way of solving problems. Anybody who wants to take this question? Yes, couple of hands are raised. Please go ahead.
Yes, Ramya ji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
The first one is just by chance he got the answer, and that wouldn't work anywhere else if he thinks that's the way to go. And the second one is stupidity.
Yeah, that's true. Let's hear from a couple of others as well, and then I'll get a little deeper into this.
Yes, Nitin ji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Namaskar. What I feel that when it is 16 for the 64, he doesn't have a teacher to tell him how to do a mathematical calculation. Wherein in case of other ladies, she had somebody in her life to tell her that she has got a short life. So she has got somebody to guide her. But wherein she did not listen to him, she did on her own way. Both of them have done on their own ways. But one was with Guru. Guru means I am talking about a material teacher. In both, in one case it was not there, in other case it was there. But both of them did by their own mind. Mind means the intellect, as you rightly said, 4 compartments are there. So decision has been taken by them. One decision was based upon their own thoughts or whatever, and other was, though there was a guru, but he did decision by his own accord. He did not even got influenced by a teacher's teachings.
Yeah, good idea. That's true. Yeah, Rinki, you wanted to add something? Few more hands are raised. Let's hear out the perspectives around it, and then we get down to that. Yeah.
Garinji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. So yeah, I can say they both followed with their own mind, but I can also say that the one that was solving the math problem, probably followed a guidebook to kind of like go guide him through the problem and equation, while the other one, who knows what she was thinking. I'm guessing maybe she had anxiety to know she was living 6 months. I have no idea, but she just took the matter in her own hands and decided to shoot the doctor for telling her, hey, you have 6 months to live. And now she has 20 years in prison for life. So,
She
yeah.
was probably smoking weed or something like that for sure. All right, yeah, Rahul, Pallaviji, let's quickly hear you as well.
Yes,
I think both of them were ignorant. The first one was probably not aware of the mathematics concepts, and the second one, even though doctor might be a guru, she should have heard about him, but she ignored. Yeah, so both of them were ignorant.
Yep, very true. Yes, Pallaviji.
Yes, what I would like to say that both are misguided. The guy who is doing maths is he understood it wrong. Whatever he read himself, he read it wrong, and he just figured out that okay, I need to get 4, so somehow I'm getting 4. And the other lady, she is like totally misguided. She has no way how to interpret things, like totally misguided.
True, very true. So yeah, the point here is, the problem here is, like they say, Ajnanam hi mool karanam. The first problem that we have, right, and the problem that makes us repeat in this world is ignorance. Our intellect has all the wrong knowledge fed to it. And it's for the people who think they can be their own gurus, these are the kind of mistakes they are likely to do. They may get it right occasionally because scriptures are pretty vast, right? Like 6 cut it by 6, they got the 4, and then that will reinforce the belief that, that is there. But in long run, they will get it right because the fundamentals are still not sorted out, right? This is not the way to do maths. Only a teacher can tell you. Same thing with the lady. Obviously, she went by her own intellect. She had the knowledge, right? That if she gets a term of 20 years, that means she thought she's going to live for 20 years. So obviously the knowledge is there, but it's not proper knowledge. So these kind of things can happen. Obviously, we're having a good laugh at all of them, both of them. But when we go on our own on this path and thinking we can crack the code, our ego is getting fueled up that, I read this in this book and that book it is written, and selectively pick up a quote and start quoting it and saying I have cracked it, and why did Krishna do that? These kind of mistakes are likely to happen. I'll tell you another story about another guy, and our material knowledge will not take us very far. Okay, so there was a guy, he was an African guy, studied in US. Okay, so he had a friend, so he was a cannibal, right? And African cultures, cannibalism is pretty prevalent. By the way, when I was doing my master's here, I had a friend. It's a good friend of mine even now. So we were sitting in a Brazilian grill, which has a lot of meat. I'm a vegetarian. So I was having a little bit whatever I could get. And he was sitting right next to me and laughing at me. So I asked him, why are you laughing? He said, you know what? If you were in Africa, somebody would have taken you to the gallows by now. I said, really? I don't want to tell that, I'm not only a vegetarian. And he said, we prefer vegetarians. Okay. I said, I am not only a vegetarian, but also an organic one. So anyways, that's a joke aside. So there was a guy who was a cannibal, and then he went to US for studies. And when he came back from US, after studying, this American friend of him asked him, now that you have studied, what is the difference between the previous you and the current you? Okay. He was a cannibal previously. He said, yeah, there's a difference. Of course, he said, previously I used to eat humans with hands, and now I need use knife and forks. Okay, so that is the difference he got. So this is where the material knowledge will take us. Okay, it cannot crack the code for a lot of things. So no matter how intellectual scholar you are, it will always be capped. Okay, another guy for the contemplation part of it. Now, if you start contemplating on a knowledge which is erroneous, then even funnier things can happen, right? So Amiji tells that beautiful humorous story of a boy who used to milk a cow, who used to have a horn like this, triangular horns. And every day he would have this fancy, can I go through this gap? Right? We all have our fancies. When we walk on staircase, we put our feet on red or white or black spots and stuff like that. So he had this fancy, can I go through this? And every day he would milk the cow and buffalo and think it that way. And after a couple of years, one day he was doing it, and his curiosity got the better of him. And he actually attempted that. And when he attempted that, obviously nobody had attempted that with a cow. So cow got freaked out and it started swinging wildly, and he got flung in the air and hung by the horns. And he was like, okay, I was trying to do something adventurous, and now what I see is death by hanging. Until villagers came and rescued him. And they asked him, what kind of a crazy act was that? Were you not thinking what you were doing? He said, of course I was thinking, and I was thinking for 2 years. Right? He was thinking actually, and then he attempted that. So this is the limitation of material knowledge, our contemplation, and even the concepts or the fundas that we make based on our limited understanding or selective interpretation of scriptures. Okay. So now let's look at it and through another angle. It will put things in perspective more. So we'll do a little bit of analytical analysis of this whole thing. Okay, 2 lines. On one side, we have confidence. The other side, we have competence. Okay, low to high. And confidence is know nothing. And on the other side, you find a guru, basically. So the way this goes is, this is the curve. Now this curve, if you look at it, the peak, this is called peak of Mount Stupid. You see, the confidence is so high, even though your competence is low. Okay, this is the story of our lives, I'm telling you. Now what happens is, after that, you hit a valley of despair. When you start understanding, you start gaining competence, your confidence then starts dropping. Okay, then until you hit a valley of despair. Then the third stage that comes is slope of enlightenment. Then you start understanding things. Okay, and finally, when you meet Guru, this is when you get a plateau of sustainability. Okay, this is the typical graph of our lives until we have found a Guru. And I have not created it. Okay, this is called a Dunning-Kruger effect. You can go and look it up on net. This is a hypothetical cognitive bias stating that people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. Okay, and it happens on the spiritual path as well. For a lot of people who have a false pride, sense of pride about their abilities, especially when it comes to cracking the spiritual code. Without Guru, they think they are on their own and they can crack this code. They don't need a middleman. Okay. Scriptures are telling us no, there's absolutely no way you can crack this code. Okay, you have to go to a Guru. Bhagavatam is saying it, Bhagavad Gita is saying it, Ramayana said that. Every scripture is telling us the same. So without a Guru, it is not possible. Now, who's a true Guru? How do we find one is something we are going to tackle tomorrow. So today I wanted to discuss a little bit on this part because this is something we need to really understand in depth and challenge our thought process around it as well. So the discussion topic today is the sign of growing in knowledge is to realize how little knowledge we have. Any thoughts on that? Okay, before we get into that, maybe a couple of other things as well. Pallaviji, any announcements you want to make? I want to make sure we make the announcements. Also, I wanted to, before you make the announcement, I think there's a couple of things. One is the Guru Purnima celebrations that we are going to do next week for 3 days. It's going to be an awesome event, including speech from Swamiji, beautiful bhajans. We are going to have interactive games, Antakshari, a lot of fun planned around that time. So for 3 days, Monday to Wednesday, I will not have sessions, but you will have a lot of fun on good activities and getting to know more about Maharajji during that time. And so look forward to that. And yes, Pallaviji, any other announcement you want to make before we get into the discussion?
So I'm going to post the link for Guru Purnima celebrations in the chat. So the celebrations start from July 11 through July 13, and it will be in person as well as online. So that is good options for us. Highlights is Guru Pujan, Sri Maharajji's Abhishek, Gems by Sri Maharajji, Kirtan and Aarti, Swamiji's live lecture, Swamiji's live Kirtan, and special interactive session. So it's a great devotional festivities. Please do not miss that. I'm going to post the link to join.
Thank you, Pallaviji. And I think this question was posed during the parenting sessions. ADHD will be tackled or not? I think it's not focused on that. However, I think they're going to have some expert panelists come over, so this topic might be touched upon. Okay, but the focus of these is more general and more foundational as opposed to being specific for that. So hope that answers your question. I want to take a quick moment to thank, are you able to see my screen right now?
Yes. Yes.
So thank the DWG group basically for coming forward and donating generously. It set a target of 11K and 8K has already been raised. So people have come forward and done it generously. If you feel inspired by Swamiji's teachings, we still have a couple of months to go. Do take out a moment and feel free to whatever you feel comfortable in. Yatha samarthya, they say, right? So no pressure whatsoever, but whatever you feel comfortable with. I posted the link for that as well because we have a couple of minutes to go. So just wanted to put a quick reminder for that as well. Now let's get back to our point of discussion for today and get the discussion going, because it is an important concept from a spiritual standpoint. Until we are intellectually convinced that we would need to take a refuge of a guru, our journey will really not kick off. It will go 2 steps forward, 1 backward here and there, but then truly it cannot take flight. If you want to take a flight and move forward, this is an important concept to understand. So let's get the discussion going and hear from participants around it. And any questions, if you may have, we can take those as well around whatever we have discussed. Like I said, tomorrow we will talk about how do we recognize a true guru. Okay, and then what is it that basically, and how can I find one? This is a very important question, one of the most important decisions of your life. So we'll have a discussion, deeper discussion on this topic tomorrow. Let's hear from, yes, Sandhya, please go ahead.
Yes, Sandhya ji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So just like discussion regarding this line, that sign of growing in knowledge is to realize how little knowledge we have. Yeah, this is actually very true, and I'll just try to point out my perspective on it. So as Swamiji said during the family camp, that we really have to engage ourselves in deep thinking. So I think when we start gaining some knowledge, it automatically makes us think deeply as and when we do it more and more. And that's when we realize that there are so many angles to look at the same thing. One single statement can mean a lot. So that way you understand that, there is a lot more than what you think existed. And as you learn more, you realize that there is even more. And that's why I think even the hunger for learning keeps increasing. And
yeah, even the material knowledge, if you look at it, the material energy of God, even if we go by material sciences, if we have to perfect any science, there is no dearth of it. It's infinite. It is infinite, right? Infinite rather. Like I said, every aspect of material energy is infinite, whether it is a subject, whether it is like we were discussing the other day, right? 3 primary colors, but you can make infinite combinations. 7 suras, but you can make infinite music notes out of it. So material energy itself is infinite. If you want to go to specialize a particular subject, you can get into general science, and then it splits further into chemistry, biology, and physics. And then when you start getting deeper, there is organic chemistry, and then this, and then optics, and within physics, and then you want to go for super specialization. There's absolutely no limit. So even to ace a material subject, it will take some doing. And here we are talking about Brahma Vidya, right? Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya both. So, and in order to crack Brahma Vidya, this 2 finger width of intellect is not good enough, is what our scriptures are telling. Great points, Sandhya. Let's hear from other participants as well.
Yes, Rahul ji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I just first wanted to comment. A few days ago, a friend of mine messaged me and he told me that we should not disturb God and only pray for 10 minutes. Then I thought, see, this is what I was also thinking earlier, that we should not be disturbing God and only pray for 10 minutes and that's it. So that is where we require that God realized guru, or a guru who is well versed in scriptures and can guide us in the correct direction. Otherwise, no university, no book can tell us. Not even our parents, they also don't know that real truth. So that is why approaching a spiritual master is a must, because we can acquire a lot of knowledge, do a master's PhD, but if we haven't understood that ABCD of the spiritual dictionary, I think the life is wasted probably.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, and this knowledge is actually technically different from the material knowledge. Okay, you would realize as you progress on this path, Guru will start revealing that knowledge in your heart, and it's kind of an implant that they do. It's not your self-effort where you have cracked the code in your head. Certain things will start getting revealed within you automatically, and it's given to you based on whatever is the algorithm around that, your surrender, your bhav, your hard effort, whatever, because this knowledge is sentient knowledge. It is not something you can crack it on by reading alone. Yeah, so Tattvadarshi Guru is very important on this path. Yes, let's hear from other participants as well.
Yes, Surendraji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu. I think my question is related to the tomorrow, your next session, when you say that how to find a guru. My question, which I have posed in the chat box also, that is it ultimately not the guru who finds us, accepts us?
Yeah, so there are two aspects to it, Surendraji. You have asked a very good question. Two aspects to it. Okay, one is, see, it's like this. If something, okay, let me take an analogy. If an iron has to get converted into gold, right, by coming in contact with a parasmani or a philosopher's stone, what needs to happen? So if iron has to convert into gold, two things have to happen. It has to come in contact with the philosopher's stone, which is called parasmani. And second is, the iron has to be uncovered, so that association contact can be established. So it's a two-way street. You can accept somebody as a guru in your heart. Okay, that is one aspect of it. But then there are qualifications of a guru, like we spoke about. There are qualifications of a disciple as well. And when we follow the path, that's when we get the benefit out of the teachings of a guru. That is so it's not just about getting guru, but becoming a good disciple also, where you can understand, not only listen to them with faith and surrender, but also practice those teachings. When you start practicing those teachings, you are freeing up Guru's hands so that he can bestow grace upon you and keep you pushing forward on that path. So he cannot bestow grace on you whimsically, that all right, you accepted me as a guru, now free fund grace. No, that will violate the principle. Okay. So when Guru has to free up his hand because he wants to grace you, he's Tattvadarshi, then obviously something is expected out of you, and that is where he's the one who's going to work on you to prepare your vessel for God. Like parents train a girl and then the guy comes and picks up the girl. Who has done the hard work? The parents. Guru does the same with us. Okay, but then we have to be a good disciple. It has to be a two-way street.
The second question was about the example you have given about the doctor. In this example, probably the doctor was wrong when he says it is a 6 months life only available. Ultimately, she had 20 years.
Yeah, she manufactured 20 years, which was not going to be for sure. But I like that lady, okay, her attitude. I mean, what a nice way of creating, something great. Yes.
Yes,
Any other questions on this topic, or you wanted to talk anything about it?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. The sentence which depicted, the sign of growing in knowledge, is to realize how little knowledge we have. Yeah, initially, when I'm not, I have joined in this platform. I used to have time, but I used to do nothing. I said, okay, I got my degree, I'm doing my job. That's it, that's enough. But once I joined in this platform and started exploring the things, the knowledge, what I'm acquiring, going into depth, there's no time at all actually when I think I turn back. So then I think what I'd have done all these 40 years. So the knowledge is there's no end. So if you're going on acknowledging it, I don't think there's an end for that, and whatever the subject you are going deeper into your head.
Very true.
So that is my
great realization. Thank you, Lakshmiji, and thanks for sharing that. And that's how our life goes, basically, goes by without we realizing what's happening, right? If you don't put a vessel to your time, money, and water, it will just find its own place. But the good news is, Lakshmiji, the bad news is you were doing nothing, right? Which we have realized. The good news is that you have done impossible, because it is said nothing is impossible. So you did nothing, that means you did the impossible. But now you are doing something which is helping, which is good. Jab jago tab savera, right? So it's a story of a lot of us as well. When I wonder what I was doing a few years back, it was like, but I'm glad at least the journey has kicked off now. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Pramodji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Pramodji.
Radhe Radhe. This discussion, reminded me of a quote from a scientist. I believe it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, who said that as the area of our knowledge grows, so too does the perimeter of our ignorance. So that means that the more we know how little we know. So that directly relates to, what we are discussing over here. And that's true for anything that we really want to master, right? Initially we think that it's going to be so easy, but then once we really start doing that, we uncover the depths of it and what it really takes to master anything. So it's true in material world and doubly true in spiritual world as well.
Very true. Swamiji tells about, I forgot the guy's name. He was a guy who created an encyclopedia of things that we don't know, humans don't know. So he created the encyclopedia of all the things that humans don't know. So let's say it was this much. It ran into thousands of things. So the hope was over time, it will shrink. Guess what? It just kept on expanding. The more you know, the more you realize how less you know. That is how it goes. Because material energy is God's energy and it is infinite. We can't really crack it. So Brahma Vidya is, you can only imagine, but it can only be cracked through Guru's grace. When it is given to you or implanted in you, when it's as you start gradually, incrementally implanted in you, there's no way to crack it. Absolutely no way. That's how it goes. Yes, few more hands.
Yes, Nitinji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe, Namaskar. I will say in a two ways. Actually, one is, according to me, spiritually is ahamkar, aham akar. So once I know that who I am, once I am to that path, then I realize when my ahankar goes less, then I realize, oh, what I had thought about the world is all different. It was my dream, whatever it was. And the reality is altogether different. What I always assuming before. And secondly, worldly, if I'll say something, that when I practiced or when I was studying in law and when I know the CPC, CRPC, then I know, oh, I know everything. And when I actually practice in court of law, then I realize, no, there are many layers. So in fact, that when my ahankar goes down and when I know there is no, it's all one and the same, then I realize what the real knowledge, and then I come to know what is the reality.
True.
Thank you.
Beautiful point, Nitinji. That's true. In fact, even if we look at the phenomena in material world, right, things flow from top to down. So the more humility you have, the more force, by more force you will attract the grace around it. Right? It cannot flow from down to up. Right? So if you're already sitting in front of your guru thinking, I am so and so, let me test him out, let me test his knowledge, let me prove him wrong, nothing will happen. So that is needed. The key is to find a true guru. That is, we will talk about some of the symptoms. How can we identify or get some idea about that, right? And how do we find that? That is a very important topic. Okay, that is what we are going to discuss tomorrow, and then we will spill over to next week as well, because then we have to get into the depths of types of gurus and a lot of philosophical concepts around that. Okay, that is something we'll continue. But tomorrow at least we'll touch upon the topic of what is a true guru and how do we find one. Okay, we'll try to touch upon those. Yes, three more hands.
Yes, Kumarji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everyone. So yeah, as we know more, then we know more of what we don't know, right? So this is true for material knowledge as well, and spiritual knowledge as well. But in material knowledge, we understand that we kind of try to know as much as needed so that we can lead some kind of a normal material life. But in spirituality, it's different. You really earn for more. once you get the bug, as I call it, it just never satiates what we know. So we want to know more and more. That's what gives us internal peace and some kind of like feel good factor, which like you don't get when you do more and more material stuff. So more we know, the more we know that we know less, and then we kind of try to gain that knowledge more and more, and advance in this path of spirituality.
Right.
You, Radhe.
That's true. Yep. The knowledge is infinite, actually, if you think about it. But then whatever is needed for us to progress, Guru makes sure those obstacles are removed. So you would get the level of knowledge that would give you the required amount of faith to progress further. That much is assured. And then obviously, as you go further, you'll have deeper and deeper and deeper realization. So, but Tattva Gyan that is needed for us to progress is given to us so that those cobwebs are no longer there for us of self-doubts and other things. So that thing gets dispelled, which is good enough for us to progress. That is right. Let's hear from 3 more hands and then we'll...
Yes, Garinji, Radhe,
You fill out the feedback tracker as well. If you have more questions, we can certainly take it during the session itself.
Yes, I have posted the link for the feedback tracker.
Great, thank you.
Please go ahead, Garinji. Yeah, thank you.
So I can say that you can go on your way without a guru, but the thing is that you're not going to have anyone to keep track of your progresses. You're not going to have anyone keeping track of your mentorship. It's just like you're not really going to get anywhere by going on your own, because you're not going to have that guide. You're not going to have that spiritual guide, and you're not really going to know what to do. Whereas if you take on a spiritual teacher, like they're there to guide you, they're there to mentor you, they're there to help you out. And, sooner or later, you're going to make much higher progress than if you didn't have a guru.
True. And other aspect of it is, Jarinji, is that God's rule is, as per our scriptures, I will meet you when your heart is purified. Okay. And nobody has the technology to purify your heart. Nobody has that technology other than the Tattvadarshi Guru. He would just know exactly where you are in your spiritual trajectory and what is the immediate impediment that needs to be taken away from your life, so that you can take that next step. That much level of foresight that they have. That is why it's because we have absolutely no clue. If the journey is, let's say, 1,000 miles, whether we have covered 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, we have no clue. And what should be our next immediate step, so that we can make the progress, and where we are getting stuck, what is our secret stash, we have no clue about it. And how do we purify our antakaran? We have no clue about it. What are the things we need to confront for ourselves? No clue about it. What do we do when our bad prarabdha comes? No clue about it. So it's like a wild goose chase if we want to take on that endeavor on our own. That's why scriptures are recommended. You could try it until you get intellectually convinced that, all right, I have tried enough. Now I really need a guru, and cry out to God for help. And they say that Hari ki kripa se mile Guru var pyare, and Guru ki kripa se mile Giridhar pyare. So with Hari's grace you meet Guru, and with Guru's grace you meet Hari. But then if with Hari's grace you meet Guru, do you just simply wait for the grace? No, you still have to make that intent and the intense desire around it. That is how it goes.
Right, definitely agreed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Where are you joining us from, Charanji?
Pasadena, Los Angeles, California.
All right, good to hear from you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ankuji, Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe. I just want to know if in case, how do we come to know that we have found a true guru, or maybe true guru has found a true disciple?
Yeah, tomorrow we'll discuss that. Okay, some of the symptoms around it. Yeah, we have a good framework to work with. So all your questions will be answered tomorrow. We'll talk about that. How do we know we have found a true guru? And then how do we find a guru, right? So it's a very important question. We'll tackle it tomorrow.
Yes,
Yes,
Ashutosh
Ashutosh ji,
Radhe Radhe.
you
Yeah,
can
please go ahead.
sing the Bhakti Shatak verse that you have found for Guru. So please go ahead.
Actually, it is from today, actually from Shama Gita, I believe.
Okay, Shama Sham Geet, all right, even better.
I think actually yesterday only I came across these lines and I'm waiting when you said na that today you will be saying about Guru. So
Very
I
nice.
remember
See, it's a providence and a coincidence, I would say, right? Very nice. Please go ahead.
हरि धाम देखा नहीं देखा गुरु धामा गुरु सेवा ते ही मिले दिव्य हरि धामा.
Beautiful.
And one more I have from Radha Govind Geet. गुरु तो है माता सम गोविंद राधे शिशु मन मल धोके विमल बना दे. राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे. And Bhakti Satak, I don't remember completely, but I'll try. Yesterday only, so after that only, I think this comes. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead. It's always a pleasure and very heartening to see, how you have picked up so quickly. Very nice. Please go ahead.
जग सो विमुख होय जब सांचो सदगुरु पाए राधे राधे करत सतत सत्संग तब हरि सन्मुख हई जाय राधे राधे. जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे. I don't know if I sang it correctly second line, but it's like.
Oh, that's good actually. Beautiful, Ashutosh ji. Very nice. In fact, this is one of the three graces of God as well. The three graces of God we speak about. Getting a human birth is the first grace. Getting a spiritual spark, right? If God has picked up that drop, which is going to give us some fruit based on our past sanskars, that is the second grace. And the third grace is finding a true guru. After that, God cannot grace. Now our work starts. Okay, so God has already given us whatever He could give us within the framework that we have. And that is the importance of finding a true guru in our life. Maybe without mentor, we cannot proceed. That is a rule, and our scriptures are telling us the same. And tomorrow we will continue on this discussion. Yes, anybody else? Okay,
Yes.
couple of hands.
Yeah, Sandhya ji. Please go ahead.
Yes, Sandhya.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was to add to the previous point where we were talking about the knowledge. This another realization that, at times we are in that small bubble that we think that whatever we know is the only knowledge that exists in the world. So we assume that the answer to other questions doesn't even exist. So we are our own master. But then when we start to learn other things, we realize that those assumptions were wrong. And there is so much more knowledge that exists. And it's just that we who were ignorant, like कुएं का मेंढक, उसको लगता है कि वही है मेरा पूरा जगत. So yeah, I just wanted to mention
Very
this.
true. Great realization. True. See, Maharaj even went on to the extent of saying, see, when I was going through the Tattva Gyan part of it, Brahma, Jeev, Maya and stuff like that. By the way, tons and tons of literature will be written on this concept. Okay. So this Brahma, Jeev, Maya, I said, okay, so basically is that the absolute Tattva Gyan that is there to be known? So Swamiji told me that God has infinite powers. So for us, that this much is needed for us to know. Okay, Brahma, Jeev, Maya. I don't know what are the other possibilities, dimensions and stuff like that. We'll get to know when we get God realized. Probably it's not needed for our spiritual journey, but yeah, whatever is needed for us is given to us on a platter. And if we continue, I'm telling you, if we continue on this journey, there will come a time within a matter of few months, okay, could take a little more, where all your questions will quieten. Now it's just like, okay, this is what I need to do. How quickly can I do it? The questions will quieten. When I started on this, I used to think the amount of questions and confusions I have in my head, even if I take an entire lifetime, I cannot get all the answers. But it happened after a few months. I was like, okay, all my questions have gotten sorted out. Now it's just a matter of how do I put it to practice and start. It will happen. It will happen automatically. Right? That's the beauty of, when we start seeking and when we come in contact with the proper guru, questions will get resolved because they want to grace you so that you can start proceeding on this path. It's not that, they are going to trick you for the rest of your life. Tattva Gyan aspect will get sorted out for sure, so that we can proceed with assurance. Yes, Pallaviji?
Yeah, thank you, Nitinji, for bringing this point. I was about to say that what happens is that when we think that we know a lot, and there is always that, it reminds me of one doha which says, Adhjal Gagri Chalkat Jai. Like we think that we know a lot, and it's like, a sense of pride is there that, okay, we know. And then once we come to these classes especially, and then when we start seeking for knowledge, we actually realize that we know nothing. I felt that I was like, I have no idea what's going on, kind of. And rather, I felt that I was totally on the wrong track. And after, when our answers start getting resolved, our questions start getting resolved, we feel that, okay, we were totally on the wrong path. Now we are getting in the correct path. So I personally feel that all my beliefs were not that, like, it was not the right belief, because it was like I was thinking life is ice cream, then realizing and taking U-turn to realize that, okay, no, life is not ice cream, the life has a purpose. So that really takes time.
Very true. That's a great realization. Yes, it happens. We consider life as an ice cream, then only thing we'll end up doing is scream. So very true.
Yes. Yes.
That happens very surely. And same thing, I mean, when I thought that I've kind of understood the philosophy, heard it so many times, being there. But now with the rejuvenated awareness that I have because of, these sessions that we do regularly, the same lecture I would have heard before, a new meaning comes. It's like something which was like more like a grape now seems like a football. So something is happening. The same words, I am just able to understand it in more depth. Swamiji's, although I've listened to that lecture 10 times before. So you may come across stuff that, hey, I've heard it, I've understood it. No, trust me, if we had actually understood it, one piece of knowledge would have changed our life. So time and again, we need to keep on repeating it, keep on repeating it, keep on repeating it, and there's no limit to it. And it will help us develop those devotional sentiments and solidify that knowledge base in our head more and more and more. So we should never get complacent when it comes to acquiring knowledge that, okay, this is something I know, I've heard. No, a new facet will open up, and that happens with God's grace. Okay, when we seek it with humility, not with the pride of that I know it, been there, heard it, kind of a thing. Great realization. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
There are a couple of messages in the chat. I'll just take a quick moment to go through that. Venkatji has mentioned, Radhe Radhe, I know it's always better to have a Sadguru accessible to us. Also, some spiritual scholars say that we can consider Bhagwan himself as Guru. If one does not have or can find a Guru, any thoughts around this? Like, no, someone cannot find in their lifetime, then what happens? I think that is the question.
I think we have to pray to God that I need a Guru, and it will happen in due course of time. God is there. So it said that we are born with a certain, prarabdha and the punyas that we have accrued. So it's like this. If we are supposed to meet a Sadguru when our score is 10, and in this life we are born with 6 or 7 of that score, and we accrue enough merit, then as soon as it touches 10, the master will automatically appear. It happens like that. So it's And there are enough masters out there at all times, right? Otherwise, it will become a very unfair game where God is leaving us on our own without any spiritual masters. Never the case. We just have to be patient and request to God, and it will happen in due course of time. And if it is not happening, that means we still have to learn few lessons even before we gain eligibility for it. Then we focus to continue on journey as best as we possibly can with the purest of intentions. But Guru has to come in your life. It will come if you start seeking it. When God is waiting, when you start seeking with sincerity, then same thing. Hari ki kripa se mile Guruvar pyare, and Guru ki kripa se mile Giridhar pyare. So God will grace, only He knows when. So we have to be persistent, we have to have faith, and we need to continue on that.
Thank you, Nitinji. Asha ji has mentioned nice lines, Ashutosh ji, and also she has mentioned thanks for the nice session as always, Nitinji.
धन्यवाद आशा जी.
Thank you, Asha ji. I see
आपका
Lakshmi ji.
प्रोत्साहन हमें हमेशा प्रेरित करता रहता है.
Dhanyavad, Asha ji. I see Lakshmi ji's hand raised.
Yes, Lakshmi ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, like a doubt. Like my uncle believes one guru or whatever. He's a priest actually in a temple. Whatever he says or whatever doubt he has, he blindly believes that person and he does all the things according to his advice. Does he becomes a guru for him?
So we will talk about this topic a little tomorrow, but let's
okay.
Sneak peek of this. Okay.
Okay. Right.
That person would stand, right? So if you look at it on the right hand side, you see this picture, what's going on here. So we don't know if that is the case or not. So in order to land with the proper guru is a very important decision in our life, and no, we cannot judge that. But with few yardsticks, with few things, we can get a sense of whether we are in safe hands or not. So the knowledge is very important even when we are seeking a guru. We cannot just go with a blind faith and hope for the best. Okay, it can happen with God's grace, but then there are certain ways you can actually evaluate whether I'm in safe hands or not. Okay, because it's not. So we don't know. I mean, he could be a realized saint, or he may not. I mean, it's very difficult to know that. Maybe his own in his own journey and what he has gained out of it would be the best testimony. But I can provide some yardsticks tomorrow if you have to objectively evaluate this.
Okay. Right. So tomorrow I'll see that whether I can get it or not. Okay.
Sure. We'll discuss some of these things tomorrow. I think it's a very important and a good discussion we're going to have. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, are we good then to wrap up?
Yeah, I don't see any hand raised.
It's good then. So let's wrap up. We can do our closing prayers and carry the inspiration back to our work of finding a guru. And if we have already found a guru, then we should thank God for that, because it's one of the most important things that can happen to us in our lives.
So just a quick question came up in the chat, Nitinji.
Sure.
Hemlata ji has asked, can't we take Lord as our ultimate guru? He's everything, right? That's what she's asking.
Yeah, so they said, right, we don't need a middleman, directly God. We can take inspiration from him and request him, but eventually the God will not come and give you samadhan in your dreams from time to time. Right? It doesn't happen. God will meet you. His rule is when you are absolutely pure. That's when he will establish contact with you, and he has bestowed or granted Guru the adhikar to actually work on you. So his rule is to meet through a guru. That is at least what our scriptures are saying. But until we find a guru, we can certainly take inspiration from God and pray to him to land us with somebody, a mentor, a realized mentor who can take our journey forward. Usually directly establishing a contact with God, we can continue to do that until we find a guru. And the scriptures tell us that it's usually doesn't work that way. You need to find a guru, realized guru, his representative, and then the journey will be facilitated much more smoothly, because he's the one who will guide you at every step. Krishna is not going to come every day and meet us and resolve our doubts. Okay. So at least scriptures tell us that.
Beautifully answered. Thank you, Nitinji. Now I don't see any questions.
Okay, all right. So if there's anything, you can put it in the feedback tracker as well. We can do our closing prayers. Anybody who wants to do that?
Anybody who wants to sing the closing prayers for today?
You can sing it, you can recite it, or you can talk it. Okay, you have all the three options. Yes, Ashutosh or Sandhya, both of you can go.
Okay, Ashutosh ji, please go ahead.
It was a photo finish. Huh?
Yeah.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Ashutoshi, and thank you everybody for another engaging session and for the opportunity. Have a wonderful day, great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Nitinji, for such an awesome session. Look forward to another session on this topic. Radhe Radhe, and have a great day, everyone. Have a blessed day and blessed night. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.